Okay, this story is about a man and his son who were fishing. Now, it's in the South Seas of this story about an American who was on a visit to the South Seas, and he saw a man and his son fishing together. And they had one rod and they caught two nice fish, and then the man stopped fishing and set off for home. Well, the American followed him and said, "Excuse me, could I have a word with you?" And the man said, "Yes." He said, "Well, I saw you got your son with you and you caught two fish and you went home. I just wonder why he doesn't have a rod." He said, "Well, we've got two fish, that's enough for us, that'll feed us for today, we'll get another two tomorrow." And the man said, "But don't you realise if you had a rod for him as well, you could maybe catch four fish and then I could what?" said the man. "Then you could sell two and you'd have more money to..." And the man said, "Yes, more money to what?" "Well, maybe you could buy a net eventually and then you could catch even more fish." And the man said, "And then what would I do?" He said, "Well, then you could have enough money maybe to buy a boat." And yes, the man said, "And then what?" He said, "Well, you could maybe employ people to go fishing for you." "Yeah, and maybe you could have two or three boats and kind of build up a fleet and or fish a boat. And you're good at fishing. I think you'd be able to do something like that." And the man said, "Yeah, and then what would happen?" He said, "Well, if you had that, a fleet of ships and all catching fish, then you'd have time to go fishing with your son." The man said, "But I already go fishing with my son." And that's the story.